20 miles from Tampa, there exists a town entirely inhabited by circus folk, exotic animals, and retired carnival rides. That town is Gibsonton, Florida, originally a small hub for Floridian lumber workers and fishermen. Since then, the town has become a haven for bearded ladies, fire eaters, tiger tamers, conjoined twins, anyone in the sideshow business. If you ran away to join the circus in those days, chances were you'd end up in Gibsonton for a season or for life. Before we get started, be sure to leave a comment and subscribe to Our Weird History. Now let's begin. For the working circus man or woman, Gibsontown, or Gibtown as the locals call it, was a great place to lay one's head or heads, whether the goal was to make it through the off-season or finally cash in on a lifetime of getting gawked at by strangers for money. World-famous entertainers who called Gibsonton home include Al, the giant, Tomiani, and his wife, Jeanie, the half-woman. Melvin, the rubber-faced man, Burkhart, Grady, the Lobster Boy, Stiles, Percilla, the monkey girl, and the conjoined Hilton sisters. Sadly, Gibtown's glory days are pretty far behind it. Happily, its unusual history endures thanks to King of the Sideshow, Ward Hill, who serves as the town's spokesperson and resident storyteller. The sideshow is, for the most part, an obsolete industry. There are still those who are fascinated by the dramatic disabilities, quirks of nature, and brain-breaking talents that made human beings professional freaks. But they tend to limit this fascination to the privacy of the internet. Though we thankfully live in a more broad-minded time, we shouldn't forget that this was once a way of life, and for some, it still is. Fame, fortune, and a chance to see the world. These things were made possible by the very quirks that made a normal life in the old days impossible. These days, Gibsonton is a place to hang out with other performers and recount war stories from the good old days, when you could see your name up in lights, and the bad old days, when the world treated you like a subhuman. According to Ward, you take the bad with the good. One Gibtown bartender put it perfectly, it's not a job, it's a lifestyle. How does one settle down to enjoy the autumn years of a lifetime in the circus? Gibsonton created a cozy little village for the retired entertainer because he and/or she has definitely earned some rest and relaxation. In that spirit, the International Independent Showmen's Association maintains the town's circus museum and its retirement community, all through dues and donations from its members. Thanks to the association, all retirees can enjoy their own private apartment, complete with front porch and barbecue, without having to worry about how to get by. Since many suffer from disabilities, try to imagine the level of arthritis a 65-year-old contortionist might endure, this is honestly a beautiful and wonderful thing. Given the nature of the neighborhood, Gibsonton was further ahead of the woke curve than the rest of Florida. The growing town fully recognized its duty to meet the special needs of its special residents and built America's first little people-friendly post office. Even though little people have been sending and receiving mail for as long as mail has been a thing, somehow no one had thought to offer a low counter anywhere else in the country. Gibsonton changed that by specifically designing its post office to be convenient for people of all sizes. The counters may not see much use now, but they made postal service history. A town doesn't just accidentally become a hub for circus people. These were entertainers who wanted to get away from it all, literally. It all being rubberneckers, gawkers, and the judgmental who made just existing a daily grind. Gibsonton has declined a great deal since then, but there's a lot of material in its well-maintained history for fiction writers, often aided by Ward Hill, looking for a story. Meanwhile, its citizens are just trying to go about their day. As you might imagine, it gets old quick, unless you're Ward. Speaking of Ward, he was the first to be inducted to the International Independent Showmen's Association Hall of Fame. The IISA itself is essentially 52,000 square feet of ancient rides, politically incorrect yet fascinating exhibits, genuine used costumes including one belonging to famous burlesque dancer Gypsy Rose Lee, and of course, a whole lot of incredible pictures of even more incredible people doing absolutely incredible things. The site centers around an aging Ferris wheel and features irreplaceable pieces of sideshow history. There's nothing like seeing that level of dedication to the preservation of a strange era up close. Seriously, ask Ward. In Gibsonton's heyday, it wasn't unusual to see elephants, tigers, lions, monkeys, and other exotic, illegal animals in someone's yard. And if you did see one and report it, you'd be informed that said animal was exactly where it was supposed to be. This holds true even today. Trainers and performers who worked with exotic creatures can also live with them thanks to Gibtown's special zoning laws. Carnival rides were included in those laws, and you can still see them on many a Gibtown lawn. If you're lucky, you might even meet the lone Gibtowner who, according to the grapevine, continues to keep elephants in the yard. Grady Stiles was born with his fingers and toes fused together to form claws, a defect called ectrodactyly, that would earn him the stage name Lobster Boy and lead to a colorful life in the sideshow business and eventually to 2 grisly murders. Although he developed incredible upper body strength as a result of his condition, Grady didn't have a great handle on his emotional life, not necessarily because of said condition. He was notoriously quick to boil. He drank, he abused his own family, and he shot his daughter's fiancée to death the night before her wedding, a crime for which he received 0 jail time despite his confession, mostly because no prison could care for anyone with his disability. His wife and stepson didn't care for him either. After putting up with his rage, abuse, and alcoholism for years on end, not to mention the murder, they hired another entertainer to gun that lobster man down, and all 3 were put in a cage for it, where they stayed for the rest of their lives despite Stiles' son's denial that it was a hit. By definition, the modern world has become a kind of anti-carnival. There's simply no place for it outside of Gibsonton's museum, because gawking at obese hairy women or lobster-handed men is now frowned upon. The death of the sideshow can be partially attributed to a rise in education and awareness in society. Of course, we can't forget the role of TV and the internet. When it comes down to it, even the noblest of us would probably rather look this stuff up online than slog through sawdust and elephant tongue to see it up close. That's right, our laziness and fickle attention span is at least as much a factor as our modern morals and the decline of the circus sideshow. And Gibsonton. Gibsonton was reborn in fiction as the infamous Jupiter, Florida, although idealized. For instance, the character Jimmy Darling in real life was the murderous Grady Stiles. Freak Show also memorialized the town's creeping decay by setting it in the 50s, a desperate time for the sideshow business. The portrayal is not inaccurate. Little by little, Gibtown is fading away, leaving only pieces of its history behind. Before American Horror Story, another iconic show used Gibsonton's unusual residential makeup as a setting for one of its best-known episodes. During its 2nd season, The X-Files filmed Humbug, episode 12. The episode centered around a serial killer prowling among a community of sideshow performers a la Gibsonton. America has more than a few oddball little towns, but Gibsonton, Florida holds the distinction of being professionally odd. And although it may be dying, its legacy is already well preserved. What do you think of this town? Leave us a comment and check out more videos of our weird history.